Good morning, guys. This is Danny at Partay. Apologies. Got a little bit of allergies going on from just being out here working in the yard. So yesterday, Silent was running a live, and I was coming back to the house. Our puppy was neutered yesterday, so I was bringing him back to the house, and I had every intention of doing a live stream last night, but life sometimes throws you a couple of curveballs. I ended up doing something with my neighbor Craig after I got back home. And then I realized that I didn't go get the lumber that I was going to need for the rafters here. So I went to go get that stuff yesterday or last night. So busy day yesterday. But anyway, I just wanted to come out real quick, and seems as though there's some consternation out there about what's going on. So I figured I'd just come out and clear the air. So I'm going to show you. I want you to look at this real quick. See if we can get that. There we go. So there's the receipt for the trademark purchase. You can take a look at it. You can focus in on it, pause it, look at it. But essentially what it is it's the filing fee. So the first fee that I had to pay, and this is for anybody who would ever go to do trademarks, the first fee that you have to pay is a database search. Unless you decide to do that yourself, but you can be wasting your money. And here's why. Because if you do a database search and you don't do it thoroughly and you don't find the information, and then you go file for a trademark and they come back and find out that it was in a municipal database somewhere, then you've just wasted your filing fee because you got to start all over. So we paid for the database searches. Database searches have all been scanned. They've all been completed. FLE, Fusion Light Energy, is now going to be owned by Partay. That was our filing fee. You can see that was just $350 just to file with the USPTO. So now we're just waiting on the USPTO to finish their processing. And as soon as they're through processing it, FLE, Fusion Light Energy, belongs to Partay. Okay. We'll have it for a year. We'll have to renew it in a year. And then I think you renew it every 2 years after that. So it's not a joke. I'm playing games. Don't get me wrong. I'm playing games, but it's not a joke because here's what's going to happen. To show any judge that Danny is a really nice guy, Danny's going to give Ken the opportunity to license the FLE trademark each year for a very low price, a very fair, reasonable price. Now, from there, and I think we all suspect what's going to happen. Mr. Bird's not going to want to pay me a dime, and for one, I don't think he could afford it, even if he had, even if he was willing to. Right? He couldn't afford to pay it right now. And Mr. Bird's broke. So if he doesn't license the trademark from me, then it's a takedown. Period. I'll give him 3 days, gracious days, to remove FLE from his website, or I will contact Wix. Actually, truth is, what's going to happen is I'm going to send him a notification and Wix a notification at the same time, giving him 3 days. If he does not take them down, I will have Wix take his website down because they're not going to be put in a position where they're party to a violation of a trademark. It's just like YouTube. You break copyright laws, you get a copyright strike. They remove the video. To that point, I will be filing 2 copyright violations today. So we can play this however Ken wants to. The replacement, the destroyer can come out and say whatever they want to. It does not matter. You're dealing with legality now. This is not Screen Wars. I told you I quit playing that game a while back. This is a different game. This is a game where I show Ken that he has no power, no authority, and no influence over Partay. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I found really funny is that I rarely get orders on a Sunday. maybe a onesie every once in a while. But most of the time they come in, Saturday, people order whenever they have time, or sometimes in the evening through the week. You can kind of tell people are ordering whenever they get off work or have some time in the evening, just based on the time frames, because I plot the data points as to when people order, right? And it's generally going to be in the evenings or on a Saturday. Sunday's never been a big order day. After Mr. Bird made his video, I received 4 orders on Sunday. So that's the influence that Ken and his little trolls, the Replacement and the Destroyer, Hector, whatever, right? That's how little they influence anything. So you play your little screen wars. That's not what I'm doing. See, if I remember, and if you guys recall, Ken had his channel taken down here a little while back because of copyright strike. Now, what that tells all of us is that that wasn't his first, because they don't take your site down on the first copyright strike. So this is a tale of defiance. This is the asshole that is Ken Bird, where he thinks he's showing strength through defiance, when in reality, all he's doing is setting himself up for more heartache. But he gets so angry. I told you, he's an angry little pissant. He gets so angry that he can't think clearly. He doesn't use logic. He doesn't stop and think, I may find myself in a world of hurt here if I go down this path. No, he's just going to go down the path and he'll pay the price. It's just that simple, guys. If you don't believe me, take a look at this. If you can read that, I'll read it to you. In 2008, Congress doubled the ranges, the monetary penalty, so that courts may award statutory damages in the range of $1,000 to $200,000 per counterfeit trademark per type of goods or services, and up to $2 million if the violation is willful. Okay, so let's break that apart. So a lot of times whenever people violate trademarks, it's not because that's their intent. They just name a product something. They don't check to see if trademarks exist. Someone out there files against them and they go to court. So most of the time what's going to happen is they're going to send a cease and desist letter first and say, please stop using this. And that person will generally acquiesce because they don't want to get in legal trouble. But sometimes people can be jerks, or either maybe they've just been through so much with people trying to steal their property that they just figured they're going to make examples out of folks. Sometimes you got to do that, right? So they will take them to court. They will collect funds from them. It may not be a huge amount, but the willful piece is what jacks it up, right? Willful means that you recognize that there's a legitimate trademark or copyright. And because you're a defiant asshole, you did it anyway. You just figured you were above the law and you don't have to follow the rules that everybody else follows. And that's where people end up paying lots of money. Mr. Bird does not have lots of money. Mr. Bird is broke. I was thankful to hear somebody yesterday, I can't remember who it was, saying he couldn't afford to buy bulbs for all those old clunky projectors. That's why he's been using Old Faithful, quote unquote, because you don't have enough money to even replace the bulbs in those old clunky projectors that he has. That's why he bought a $10 projector. So we know this guy's story. We know he's living in a shed. We know he's on disability, and that's the only income he has coming in. But he's going to be defiant, show his assholism, and do all his screwery, thinking that he's showing strength, when in fact, all he's doing is putting himself at more and more risk. Now, another thing I'll agree with from yesterday is I heard Silent say something about, him getting rid of him. See, the thing is even if Ken got kicked off YouTube, you know he's going to Instagram, he's on Facebook. You know he's going to stay out there in those areas. But the game that Partay's playing is if you want to screw with me and you want to screw with the property that I own, because keep in mind, even my website is copywritten. If you had scrolled down and looked at the bottom of it, or if Ken had scrolled down and looked at the bottom of it, he would have seen the disclaimer at the bottom. And he did scroll down and it was there and it's in his video, and I have that video. Let me tell you one of the other beauties of going through this protection, because the truth is Partay's spending about just a little over $3,000 in copyright and trademarks right now, getting everything solidified. And we're just using Partay Capital to do that. I waited long enough for Partay to prove its viability before I went spending that kind of money on copyrights and trademarks that I'll just be able to tell people 10 years from now I had copyrights and trademarks, and it's like, so what? Right? If you don't have a successful product behind it, what does it matter? So once we knew that PSP and FLE would end up being viable, I decided I was going to go ahead and protect everything. Now's the best time. Get it done, get it knocked out, and we're good from here forth. Here's what is really good about from here forth. I don't have to spend $6,000 or more to try to sue Ken. No, 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 no. All I have to do now is take my little certificates of copyright and trademark ownership and file charges against Mr. Bird, which cost me nothing. Okay? Nothing. Now, there'll be fees associated, but you're probably looking in civil court, probably somewhere around $300, $350 tops. So no more $6,000. Very easy to throw the stinger at Ken once you have the legal information behind your company. So that's where we are. And that's what Partay intends to do. And Ken better be wary. But if he's not, he's just going to play into my hands. Like I said, I set a trap for him. He's this idiotic fool. He took the bait, swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. And now let's see what happens. And I want to clarify something because, I mentioned PSP just a moment ago. The reason why Ken, and there's so many things that Ken's wrong at. You've heard him say that, when you go to get a checking account or something with the bank, you got to show that LLC. If you don't have that LLC, well, wait a minute. What if it's an S corp? What if it's a limited partnership? Not a general partnership, but a limited partnership. What if it's a full-blown corp? They're not going to ask you for your LLC if you're not an LLC. So he's wrong there. But he was also wrong. He kept talking about the similarity suit for PSP, and Sony was going to be suing me. See, what I already knew and what I just reached out to Sony to confirm at that time was that my PSP was going to be trademarked under a total different classification. The Sony PSP is classified under electronics and gaming. Mine's under projection and screen coatings, paint. So 2 different classifications. They have no issue with my PSP. I obviously have no issue with their PSP. And we both have our trademarks, or I'll have mine on PSP shortly right thereafter the FLE, because it's already been filed. But not only that, I've got copyrights on the names of the products, and then I copyright my website content. So basically, if you go out and you start screwing with my business property, I'm going to come after you. And it's going to be embarrassing for some folks because you can't fight a legality like that when you have nothing behind you. Nothing. But they couldn't touch my PSP, so he was wrong on that. He's been wrong on so many things. When he goes off about Frankenstein, you realize Frankenstein's a last name? There are people with the last name Frankenstein. Okay, so Universal does not own the name Frankenstein. They own the rights to the story, okay? To their version of the story. That's what they own. And I would also remind Ken that Frankenstein is not the name of the monster. It was the name of the doctor. So again, if you use the image of Frankenstein from Universal, you're probably going to be in trouble, or you're going to have to remove it because they'll come after you. But the name Frankenstein, hell, anybody could use it. All right, so hopefully this kind of, well, actually, I'm going to show you one more thing because this I find extremely hilarious. And I can't show it real good out here, but you can see this is Mr. Bird. Every one of these images on his dark silver, you got a bright spot right here, okay, right in here. And then it's dark as hell over on the right-hand side. You got that image. I've got this image here. See, same thing. Bright right there, dark over here, because it's not a balanced screen. The guy cannot make a balanced screen. Same thing here. You can see it's bright right there in the middle. Sorry, trying to get it to focus, but you can see the brightness kind of right there in the middle, but it's dark over here. So I'll show some of these a little bit later, but that's really what it boils down to, guys, is he can't do anything. He just talks a bunch of smack out there. He had the opportunity to buy Crow's mix for $40. $40 is nothing. Okay? Nothing to people who have a little bit of money in their pocket. Once again, Ken's broke, living in a shed. He can't afford bulbs for his projectors. He can't afford surfaces to make screens out of. And the screens that he's showing are all these small. Even if he uses a full size piece of cloth like that right there, look at how much room is around it. See that? He can't make anything but small images anymore. The man who used to make fun of people for making what he called cookie cutter screens can't make a screen over about 65 inches. Because when he does, unless he takes it outside at nighttime, because when he does, it looks like total shit. Now, his screens may become popular if, suck ass screens ever become the trend, but I don't see that happening. So your dark silver is a dud. I mean, I'm looking at it right here. It is a friggin' dud. It's an angular reflective piece of crap, is what it is. Not that angular reflective is bad, but if you can't balance it, it ain't worth a shat. Because the bright spot's always going to be directly in front of you. And everything else from there over, whether it's to the left or to the right, is going to be dark. So you can't keep up with me on quality, design, excitement, vibrancy, punchiness. He can't keep up with any of that. And now, because he's so arrogant, because he's such an asshole and so defiant, he's going to put himself at risk. Thank you, and welcome to my trap, Ken. You guys take care.